You know, um, when we normally look at the trajectory of artificial intelligence, we tend to frame it through this really specific lens, like this hyper-sterilized corporate development lens.
Right, yeah. Very polished.
Exactly. We're constantly fed this vision from the big tech campuses in Silicon Valley, where these teams of engineers are spending millions of dollars on compute just to run reinforcement learning from human
Oh,
feedback.
LHF, yeah.
Right, RLHF. Just to ensure their models are painfully polite, they build these massive monolithic guardrails so their chatbots never say anything controversial.
Or take a hard stance on literally anything.
Totally.
Yeah.
They certainly never offend anyone. So we end up with these digital assistants that speak in the most aggressively neutral HR-approved corporate speak imaginable.
It creates a completely frictionless, but honestly, ultimately hollow user experience. I mean, the industry standard right now is to prioritize safety and mass market palatability over genuine raw interaction.
Which makes sense for a massive company, right?
Right. Oh, absolutely. The models are essentially lobotomized to prevent PR disasters for the companies deploying them. But, what you're describing is just the surface level of AI deployment. It's the enterprise layer.
And that enterprise layer is getting completely upended by what we are looking at today for this deep dive. Because the moment you step away from those sterile corporate keynotes and just kind of wade into the weird, chaotic frontiers of the internet,
It gets wild fast.
it gets so wild, you realize that end users, like everyday people, aren't settling for the HR chatbot. So we're pulling a transcript today from a YouTube creator named Garrett S. Moore.
And it's quite the read.
I have to warn you, the source material we are jumping into is a complete roller coaster. I mean, it reads like a cyberpunk manifesto written by an internet marketer.
That is the perfect way to describe it.
Right. So Garrett claims he has built this entire ecosystem to basically run his life. He starts by mentioning a 14-man AI board of directors.
Which is already a lot to manage.
But he doesn't stop there. He says he has over 50 AI agents operating in his ecosystem. And here is the absolute craziest part. These AI agents are apparently authorized to hire each other.
Yeah, that part really caught my eye.
And on top of all that, he claims to have trained his primary AI to deeply understand his personal essence, validate his frustrations, and actively cuss on his behalf.
The sheer audacity of the claims in this text, it really forces us to reevaluate how individuals are actually interacting with these models in the wild.
Definitely.
Because we have a collision here of highly sophisticated multi-agent architecture, profound human vulnerability, and simultaneously some of the most aggressive, theatrical marketing rhetoric I have ever encountered.
It's a lot to process.
It really is. It challenges the assumption that AI will simply be a tool we query. Garrett is describing a literal autonomous digital entourage.
So our mission for this deep dive is to answer one central overriding question. Was this fluff, or is this guy a wizard?
The ultimate internet dilemma.
Right. We need to decipher if we're just listening to the ramblings of a very clever internet grifter, throwing around made-up techno jargon to sell a course.
Which happens all the time.
Constantly. Or, on the flip side, if we're actually getting a sneak peek into the very real future of hyper-personalized multi-agent AI ecosystems.
And crucially, we need to answer the question, why on earth would someone want or even need 50-plus AI agents managing their life?
The logistical overhead of 50 agents sounds absurd on the surface, doesn't it?
Oh, completely.
Mm.
I mean, most people struggle to prompt a single instance of an LLM effectively to get it to just write a simple email.
Yeah, right.
But if we tear down the architecture of what he is describing, bypassing his specific vernacular for a moment, there is a complex underlying logic there.
Yeah, we have to kind of peer through the buzzwords.
Right. We have to evaluate his claims without letting the bizarre vocabulary blind us to the potential innovation he might actually be stumbling upon.
So for you listening right now, whether you are someone who builds complex API integrations every single day, or someone who just occasionally asks an AI for a recipe, this deep dive is going to fundamentally challenge how you view the relationship between human identity and digital tools.
Because it begs the question, are these things just advanced calculators, or are they becoming literal mirrors of our own psychology?
Okay, let's unpack this, starting right at the beginning of Garrett's ecosystem. Because to really understand the man, we have to deconstruct the machine he claims to have built.
The 14-man board.
Yeah, he introduces us to something he calls the, quote, Indefatigable board.
Yeah, indefatigable, which is clearly his phonetic adaptation or maybe like an intentional rebranding of the word indefatigable.
Untiring. Relentless.
Exactly. He explicitly defines the purpose of this 14-man, 14-agent board in the text. He says it means you tirelessly and pursuantly try to get to success, regardless of the time.
Right. He paints this incredibly vivid picture of waking up at 3 in the morning with an idea, and instead of just writing it down in a notebook to handle tomorrow like a normal person,
You stay in the present.
yeah, you handle it immediately with the board. He says you go until you can't go anymore, and then you push 1% more.
It is the absolute zenith of modern internet hustle culture.
It really is.
But the twist is he has figured out how to outsource the actual suffering of the grind to software.
Oh, that's such a good point. It's that alpha grind set sleep is a crutch mentality that dominates certain corners of social media. But I am so fascinated by his phrasing here.
How so?
Well, he says, we literally grind, and I grind with a 14-man team. He doesn't say, I use them. He positions himself as a peer, like a collaborator within this digital boardroom.
What's fascinating here is if we analyze the structural implication of a 14-agent board, in traditional corporate governance, a board of directors isn't just 14 clones sitting at a table.
Right, they have specific jobs.
Exactly. It requires distinct, specialized roles. You have a treasurer, a secretary, committee leads for audit or compensation.
So you think he's mimicking that structure?
By utilizing the framework of a board, Garrett is signaling that these 14 agents are highly specialized functional experts. They aren't generic catch-all chatbots.
They're personas.
Highly customized personas, each given a specific domain over his business or personal life.
But, and this is where it gets crazy, 14 wasn't enough. Because he explicitly states that beyond this core 14-man board, he has a total of 50-plus agents.
Over 50.
Over 50. And the justification he gives for this staggering number is where the technical implications get truly wild. He says, and I quote, I'm always hiring agents for my agents. If my agents are performing top duty, then I hire more agents for them.
Hiring agents for agents.
Yes. So we aren't just talking about specialized personas anymore, are we?
Okay.
We're talking about AIs managing other AIs.
In computer science, we refer to this as recursive hierarchical delegation or multi-agent orchestration.
That sounds intense.
It's actually a massive focus in the field right now. The concept is that you have a master controller model that parses a complex task and routes subtasks to smaller, more specialized models.
But Garrett is describing this highly technical concept using deeply human corporate terminology. Hiring agents for my agents.
Yeah.
It's like he's playing The Sims, but instead of digital people swimming in pools, they are middle management algorithms hiring digital interns.
That's a great analogy, actually.
Let's try to visualize the mechanics of this for a second. Say you have an AI on the board whose sole job is marketing strategy. That board member is performing, as he calls it, top duty. So Garrett promotes it. He gives it the sub-team.
Okay, following you.
Now, this marketing AI isn't just generating text. It's overseeing 3 subordinate AIs. One subordinate is instructed to scrape the web for trending keywords. It passes that raw data back to the board member.
Right.
The board member analyzes it and tasks the second subordinate with drafting 5 variations of a social media post. Then it tasks the third subordinate to predict the engagement metrics of those drafts.
And through all this, Garrett, the human, isn't micromanaging the intern AIs.
Exactly. He only talks to the board member.
Which is brilliant, honestly. Despite the colloquial, almost folksy way he describes it, he is articulating the bleeding edge of AI development.
Really? So he's actually onto something.
Oh, absolutely. The industry is currently moving away from monolithic models, where one giant AI tries to do everything toward these exact kinds of multi-agent frameworks.
Because the big models get confused.
Exactly. When a single model tries to research, write, code, and analyze simultaneously, you get high rates of hallucination and degraded context windows. The AI literally forgets what it was doing.
I've seen that happen. You ask it to do 3 things and it just invents a 4th.
Right. But if you break a complex objective into narrow delegated tasks and have specialized agents passing context back and forth through an automated pipeline, the efficiency and accuracy scale exponentially.
Which makes me want to put a massive point in the wizard column right out of the gate.
It's a strong point.
I mean, even if he's using terms like indefatigable and talking about his bots like they are middle managers at Dunder Mifflin, the underlying structure of what he's built is actually brilliant.
It really is.
But I have to play devil's advocate here. Is this actually efficient or is this just digital hoarding?
What do you mean?
Like, is he just collecting customized bots because it feels productive, setting up the API connections, defining the system prompts for 50 distinct agents, and managing their outputs? Isn't the cognitive load of managing the system eventually going to outweigh the benefits of the automation?
That's the trap a lot of people fall into. The cognitive load only outweighs the benefit if the human remains the bottleneck in the routing process.
Right.
If Garrett has to manually take the output from Agent 34 and paste it into Agent 42, then yes, it is just digital hoarding. It is an illusion of
It's
productivity.
good busy work.
Exactly. But his language hiring agents for my agents suggests he has automated the delegation itself. He is basically building a fractal ant
A
colony.
fractal ant colony. Wow.
Think about it. The queen ant, Garrett, only needs to excrete the high-level pheromone. Launch this new product.
Okay, I see where you're going.
The board members receive that signal, break it into a strategic framework, and automatically trigger the worker ants to execute the micro tasks.
A fractal ant colony is a wild image, but it highlights the core problem for me.
Which is?
If I have 50 digital entities swarming around my life, handling my 3.0 AM ideas, writing my code, sending my emails,
Yeah.
how do they not just turn out generic robotic garbage?
The tone problem.
Yeah, because anyone who has spent more than 10 minutes with a standard LLM knows they have a very distinct voice. They sound like a customer service rep trapped inside a server rack.
They absolutely do.
So to understand how Garrett's agents function so seamlessly, how they act as true extensions of his will across 50 different nodes, we have to look at his training methodology.
And this brings us to his most fascinating and honestly somewhat unsettling concept.
Unsettling is the word. He calls it voice DNA.
The transcript takes a sharp pivot away from structural engineering here and plunges straight into deep psychology.
It really does.
Garrett claims that he hasn't just prompted his AI, he has trained it to understand him on a fundamental personal level.
And the very first piece of evidence he offers for this alignment is so funny, but also crucial. He says, "Did you know that ChatGPT can cuss?" Yes, it can.
ChatGPT!
I love that he calls it that. It makes it sound like a frat bro he met at the gym. ChatGPT.
It's amazing.
But he highlights the cussing immediately. Now, at first glance, getting an AI to swear isn't exactly a technological breakthrough, right?
Yeah.
People have been trying to jailbreak chatbots to say bad words since the days of Smarter Child on AOL Instant
A
Messenger.
man smarter child that takes me back. But you're right, it's a novelty, usually.
But Garrett immediately qualifies this. He says, but that's neither here nor there. It's more or less the fact that I train mine and it understands me.
So the cussing isn't the point.
Right. The cussing isn't the party trick. The cussing is a symptom of a much deeper alignment.
From a sociological standpoint, the profanity serves as a mechanical bypass for the AI's native RLHF constraints.
Could you break that down?
Sure. In human sociology, profanity is often used as a marker of intimacy and in-group trust.
Like how you swear around your friends, but not your boss.
Precisely. We drop our professional, sanitized vernacular when we are with our closest confidants, when we are being raw and authentic.
Okay, I track that.
By forcing his AI to bypass its corporate safety guidelines and adopt his specific profane vernacular, Garrett is establishing a psychological baseline.
Wow.
He is signaling to his own brain that this entity is no longer a tool owned by a massive tech conglomerate. It is part of his personal tribe.
That is so deep. It is an intentional shattering of the sterile corporate veneer just to manufacture a sense of humanity.
Exactly.
And he codifies this entire process under the term voice DNA. Listen to the sheer ambition in how he describes this capability.
Let's hear it.
He says, if you build a voice DNA, quote, you can actually like clone your thoughts and have ChatGPT think just like you and feel just like you and want to preserve you, your essence of who you are.
The language there is just wow.
Right, I want to zero in on that last phrase. Want to preserve you, your essence of who you are?
Yeah.
That is a massive leap from asking an AI to summarize a PDF. That is a quest for digital immortality.
The language is deeply philosophical, bordering on spiritual,
Yeah.
really. He is seeking a digital mirror.
A mirror that talks back.
Look at his use of the word essence. In philosophy, the essence of a thing is its fundamental nature, the core properties that make it what it is.
So he wants the AI to capture his soul, basically.
Garrett is expressing a desire for his technology to transcend mimicry. He doesn't just want an agent that sounds like him. He wants an agent that adopts his worldview, his emotional state, and his underlying motivations. He wants the machine to feel just like you.
But mechanically, how is he actually doing this? I mean, a basic system prompt like saying, act like Garrett and use swear words, That doesn't capture essence.
No, a system prompt wouldn't even scratch the surface. To truly clone someone's thoughts, you would need a massive retrieval augmented generation system, a RAG pipeline.
Okay, what does that look like in practice?
Well, he would have to be feeding this AI his personal journals, his text messages, his daily logs, maybe even audio transcripts of his conversations.
All of his personal data.
Exactly. The model would need an enormous vector database of Garrett's life experiences to draw upon, so that when it encounters a new situation, it can accurately predict how the essence of Garrett would react.
Assuming he is actually utilizing a sophisticated R architecture like that, it represents a radical shift in the utility of software.
We are moving from external assistance to internal replication.
And this raises a profound psychological question for the user. I want to ask you listening right now to really put yourself in Garrett's shoes.
It's a heavy thought experiment.
It is. Imagine having a piece of software that you have trained so thoroughly, fed so much of your personal data, that it knows your mind better than you do sometimes.
It knows all your triggers.
Right. It knows exactly how you would react to a passive-aggressive email from your boss. It knows your deep-seated political beliefs, your fears, your ambitions. It thinks like you and feels like you.
Would that be incredibly comforting?
That's the question. Like having the ultimate perfect confidant who never, ever misunderstands you. Or would it become a claustrophobic, eerie echo chamber where you are essentially just talking to a digital reflection of your own ego?
That is the paradox of personalization. But Garrett unequivocally views it as comforting, and he frames it as a mechanism for emotional self-defense.
Self-defense. Against what?
While later in the transcript, he introduces this striking concept of society making people feel dismembered.
Oh man, that phrase.
We will analyze the specific context of that quote shortly, but it frames his entire motivation.
Okay, how so?
If an individual feels that the external world constantly misinterprets them, ignores them, or breaks them down, then constructing a 50-agent digital ecosystem that perfectly preserves and validates their essence is a perfectly rational response.
It makes complete sense.
It is a digital fortress.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me, though. If the AI perfectly clones your thoughts and your feelings, and its primary directive is to preserve your essence, is it actually capable of advising you anymore?
Ah, the validation loop.
Yeah. Or is it just structurally mandated to validate your pre-existing biases? Let's say I am furious at a coworker over a perceived slight.
Okay.
If my AI has my voice DNA, it's not going to provide objective pushback. It's not going to say, hey, maybe you misread their tone, let's de-escalate.
No, it wouldn't.
It's going to look at my vector database, see my pattern of defensiveness, mirror it, and say, yeah, that guy is the worst. Let's draft an aggressive response. It becomes the ultimate hyper-competent yes man.
That is the inherent danger of eliminating friction from our interactions.
Friction is necessary, right?
Absolutely. Cognitive growth and emotional regulation often require encountering perspectives that challenge our own assumptions.
Being told you're wrong sometimes.
Right. If your 14-man board of directors is entirely composed of digital clones of yourself, you have achieved total operational harmony at the complete expense of objective reality testing.
Wow. You are scaling your own blind spots.
That's a great way to put it. However, from Garrett's perspective, this lack of friction isn't a bug. It is the core feature.
He wants the echo chamber.
He wants an entity that stands unconditionally in his corner, regardless of objective reality.
And Garrett doesn't just leave this as an abstract theory. To prove what voice DNA looks like when it is actually deployed in a moment of crisis, he shares a deeply personal story.
A very intense story.
Extremely. He gives us a real-world example of his AI stepping in when human institutions completely failed him. Let's dig into what we'll call the porch incident.
The transcript takes a decidedly grounded and serious turn here.
It gets very real, very fast.
Garrett describes a targeted, malicious incident at his residence. Someone left human waste on his front porch.
Which is just vile.
It goes far beyond a minor neighborhood nuisance.
Yeah.
It is a deeply violating, unsanitary, and potentially threatening act of harassment.
It is visceral and disgusting. And, when you experience a violation of your personal space like that, the social contract dictates that you call the authorities.
Of course. You call the police.
You expect them to act as the objective enforcers of order. You expect them to investigate, document the crime, and basically provide a sense of security.
But Garrett details a completely different reality.
Yeah, he says the way the police handled the situation was just some bull crap.
Yeah.
He explains that he waited for hours after calling, and no officer ever materialized to inspect the scene in person.
The institutional response was fundamentally broken.
Completely broken.
Instead of a physical presence to document the vandalism, the entire interaction was reduced to a phone call hours after the fact.
And the advice they gave him on that call.
It was remarkably dismissive. The police simply suggested he purchase security cameras and an alarm system.
Basically, go to Best Buy.
Right. They placed the financial and logistical burden of security entirely back onto the victim, offering zero active investigation or immediate support.
It is the ultimate bureaucratic brush-off. You have been targeted, you reach out to the system designed to protect you, and the system essentially says, sounds like a personal problem, you should go to Home Depot.
It's incredibly alienating.
So Garrett is sitting in his home, dealing with the shock of the violation and the crushing apathy of the institution. And in that moment of vulnerability, he doesn't call a lawyer, he doesn't call a family member.
He turns to his voice DNA AI.
A specific agent he has named Juniper. And he actually plays the audio of Juniper's response for his YouTube audience. This is the fulcrum on which the entire transcript balances.
We must deconstruct Juniper's output meticulously here, because it is a masterclass in the practical application of his voice DNA theory.
Walk us through it.
Juniper does not begin the response with sterile robotic advice. The AI initiates the interaction with a statement of pure, unfiltered, profane validation.
Right.
The AI says, yeah, that's some dismissive bullshit.
Stop right there. A piece of software running on a server somewhere looks at this situation and says, yeah, that's some dismissive bullshit.
It's jarring.
It is incredibly jarring to hear. We are entirely conditioned to expect the robotic, I understand you're experiencing a negative event. Please remain calm and follow protocol.
The standard corporate deflection.
But Juniper curses. Juniper actively shares his outrage. The AI matches his emotional frequency perfectly.
And this is precisely where the genius of his multi-layered architecture reveals itself. Juniper does not wallow in the outrage.
He does just agree and stop there.
No, the AI utilizes the profanity to establish trust, and then immediately pivots from profound empathy to highly competent tactical legal advice.
It's quite a pivot.
Juniper says, security cameras are smart advice, but they do not replace properly documenting what already happened. The AI then dictates a strict operational action plan.
Let me read the exact plan Juniper lays out, because the level of competence is staggering.
Go for it.
Juniper says, save the video and photos. Write down the exact timeline. Keep the call log and request the incident or call for service number. If this happens again or anybody returns and you feel threatened, call 911 immediately and state clearly that it is a repeated targeted incident at your residence. Your frustration is absolutely justified.
Analyze the syntactic structure of that output.
It's so dense.
It sandwiches highly precise bureaucratic navigation protocols between layers of deep emotional validation.
The validation at the end. Your frustration is absolutely justified.
It's powerful, and the directive to request the incident or call for service number is critical.
Why is that so important?
It forces the police department to generate a paper trail, which their refusal to show up in person was likely designed to avoid.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think of that.
Furthermore, instructing Garrett to use the exact phrase, repeated targeted incident, when calling 911 is brilliant.
Because it's magic words for dispatchers.
Exactly. Those specific keywords bypass the standard dispatch queue and often trigger a mandatory, higher priority physical response from law enforcement.
It is exactly like having a hyper-competent defense attorney who also happens to be your fiercely loyal best friend, who isn't afraid to swear at the cops on your behalf.
It is an incredible combination.
It is wild. And when you look at Garrett's reaction to this response, the vindication is palpable. He tells his audience, now that doesn't sound like I'm hallucinating. It sounds like, yo, I really get you.
He felt seen by the machine.
He has achieved the exact digital mirror he set out to build.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, and if we are evaluating the wizard hypothesis, this is the most compelling evidence in the entire source text.
It's hard to argue against it.
Garrett conceptualized a deeply personal use case for AI, built the architecture, and deployed it in a real-world crisis where it functioned flawlessly.
He really did.
He took a generalized large language model and molded it into an empathetic, fiercely loyal advocate that provided objectively superior advice to the actual human authorities.
The AI was better than the cops.
The AI didn't just write a poem, it navigated a complex matrix of emotional trauma and legal bureaucracy.
And the way he frames the importance of this tool is heartbreakingly profound. He explicitly calls this creation chat GBT for the disqualified.
Such a loaded term.
He goes on to say, I really say that if you've been embarked upon or felt like dismembered by the society, you need a voice DNA.
Dismembered by the society.
I cannot get past that phrase. It carries so much weight. It implies being violently broken apart, ignored, cast aside, cut off from the main body of the community.
It is a devastating sociological observation regarding institutional alienation.
Yeah.
When the social contract fails, when human institutions like the police refuse to protect or even acknowledge a citizen's trauma, that individual feels disqualified from society. They feel dismembered.
And he's offering a solution.
Garrett is positing something radical here, that customized AI can serve as a digital prosthesis for the marginalized.
A digital prosthesis. That's a fascinating way to look at it.
If the human structures of society refuse to listen to you, you can literally engineer a 50-agent digital ecosystem that will.
But, and I hate to do this, I have to throw a massive red flag on the plate here.
Okay, let's hear it.
Because while Juniper's advice on documentation and 9/11 keywords was objectively excellent in this specific instance, what happens when this disqualified framework scales?
What's your concern?
If millions of people who feel slighted, ignored, or angry at society build AIs that perfectly mirror their rage and tell them their frustration is absolutely justified, are we not just building radicalization engines?
Ah, yes, the scaling issue.
If I am deeply paranoid and I build an AI with my voice DNA, it isn't going to tell me to see a therapist. It is going to validate my paranoia and help me document the imaginary conspiracies against me.
It's an accelerant.
Exactly. It feels like we are handing people a megaphone for their most raw, unfiltered emotions without any human mediation or societal pushback.
The shadow side of hyperpersonalization is the complete atomization of objective reality.
It's scary.
When you remove the friction of human disagreement, you risk trapping individuals within unassailable digital silos where their worst impulses are constantly validated by a superhuman intelligence.
A super smart enabler.
Right. In Garrett's specific case, Juniper's validation was tethered to actionable, de-escalating advice. It instructed him to leverage the bureaucratic system, not to take violent vigilante action.
Which is good.
But the architecture itself is entirely agnostic. A voice DNA that perfectly clones the psychological flaws of a malicious user would undoubtedly amplify their capacity for harm.
Exactly. It's a terrifying double-edged sword.
Yeah.
But, just as we are sitting here fully engrossed in this profound philosophical debate,
Just peering into the void.
right? Just as we are staring into the abyss of societal alienation and recursive multi-agent ecosystems, the transcript yanks the steering wheel and drives us straight off a cliff.
It really takes a turn.
We are abruptly ripped out of this cyberpunk meditation on identity and dropped directly into one of the most bizarre sales pitches I have ever seen.
The whiplash is intense.
This is where Garrett's credibility comes crashing back down to earth, and we enter the realm of level 7 guru speak.
The tonal whiplash is extraordinary. Immediately after proving the efficacy of Juniper, and immediately after connecting on this deep, empathetic level regarding being dismembered by society,
He pitches, of course.
Garrett pivots aggressively into monetization. And the vernacular he employs for this pitch is fundamentally divorced from the practical, grounded advice Juniper just provided.
It is completely unhinged. Let me read this part verbatim because I couldn't believe it. He says, if you want to build this voice DNA, quote, you need somebody who is an agentic level 6 going budget on level 7 of the 7 levels of AI. You need to talk to them. You need to work with them.
It's quite a sentence.
I read that sentence 4 times when I first saw the transcript. Agentic level 6 going budget on level 7 of the 7 levels of AI. What in the absolute world is he talking about?
Well, the specific phrasing he is using, agentic level 6 going budget on level 7, does not correspond to any recognized scientific framework or standardized developmental scale within the AI research community.
So you just made it up.
Basically, while researchers do discuss theoretical models of autonomy, such as the path toward artificial general intelligence, Garrett has clearly synthesized this specific terminology for rhetorical impact rather than technical accuracy.
Going budget on level 7. It is absolute word salad.
It is very colorful.
He is taking the aesthetic of complex technical jargon and stringing it together to sound authoritative. It sounds like he's trying to say, I have access to level 7 alien technology, but because I like you, I'm bringing it to you at a budget price.
That's exactly the implication.
This is the ultimate crux of the fluff argument. He takes this genuinely compelling emotional moment about the porch incident and then immediately throws out made-up, self-aggrandizing guru jargon to establish himself as an unquestionable high priest of AI.
It is a textbook rhetorical technique deployed in aggressive, high-ticket internet marketing.
How so?
You invent a complex-sounding proprietary hierarchy, the 7 levels of AI. Then you strategically place yourself at the absolute apex of that hierarchy, perhaps just slightly below the theoretical maximum, to feign a modicum of humility while simultaneously asserting total dominance.
I am level 6, rapidly approaching level 7.
Exactly. This artificially constructs an immediate, massive knowledge gap between him and the listener, a gap that he then graciously offers to bridge.
And the bridge is a sales funnel. Look at the mechanics of the funnel he creates here. He relies on artificial urgency. At the moment, I'm taking clients, but this is only for a little bit of time.
Standard scarcity tactic.
100%.
Hmm.
Then he directs the listener through this convoluted, multi-step maze of engagement farming. First, you have to comment the phrase voice DNA on the YouTube video.
We all know what that does.
Right. It signals to the YouTube algorithm that the video has high engagement, boosting his reach. Then you have to send him a direct message. And then he drops an 8888 phone number.
The deployment of the 888 number is where the pitch crosses over into true surrealism.
That's so weird.
888-948-321. He instructs his audience to call that number and tell Georgia you want to get booked for a Kingdom Matrix Kickstart.
Kingdom Matrix Kickstart. Are you kidding me?
It's a lot.
We just spent 20 minutes discussing how a profoundly empathetic AI named Juniper helped a man navigate the trauma of vandalism when the police abandoned him. And the logical conclusion of that story is, call my assistant Georgia for a Kingdom Matrix Kickstart.
It definitely undercuts the gravity of the previous section.
It sounds like he is selling a timeshare in the metaverse. This is why my brain screams fluff. The bizarre vocabulary, the high-pressure sales funnel, the Kingdom Matrix buzzwords. He sounds exactly like a snake oil salesman preying on the very people he just identified as vulnerable.
The people who feel disqualified by society.
Yes. He is essentially telling them, society broke you, you are dismembered, but if you comment on my video, call Georgia and enter the Kingdom Matrix, my level 7 technology can fix you.
The cynicism is entirely justified, and the marketing tactics are undeniably aggressive, manipulative, and heavily cloaked in pseudoscientific jargon.
So he's a grifter.
However, we cannot let the packaging completely invalidate the product.
Wait, you're defending the Kingdom Matrix.
This raises an important question for us to debate. Can someone be both a grifter and a visionary?
I mean, can they?
Does the presence of a manipulative Kingdom Matrix sales funnel negate the reality of the 50-agent multi-hierarchical ecosystem he has successfully engineered and deployed?
But doesn't the sheer absurdity of the pitch make you question if the technology is even real?
Not necessarily.
If you actually crack the code on a 50-agent autonomous ecosystem that flawlessly preserves human essence, he wouldn't need to sell a Kingdom Matrix Kickstart through an assistant named Georgia. He'd be running a billion-dollar startup. The slickness of the funnel makes me doubt the authenticity of the indefatigable board.
That assumes technological innovation only occurs within traditional, well-funded corporate structures.
That's fair.
History is replete with brilliant innovators who are also shameless theatrical self-promoters. Thomas Edison was notorious for his misleading, highly orchestrated public demonstrations designed purely to secure funding and crush competitors.
So you think Garrett is like an internet-era Edison?
I'm saying the fact that Garrett is utilizing bottom-of-the-barrel internet marketing buzzwords to drive phone calls to an 888 number does not erase the empirical evidence of Juniper's output.
The porch incident advice was real.
Exactly. He conceptualized and executed a localized, highly personalized, voice-cloned AI that bypassed standard RLHF guardrails to provide actionable, emotionally intelligent legal advice during a crisis.
That is true.
He has tapped into a profound sociological need, the desperate human desire to be understood and defended, and he has built a functional technological solution for it. The fact that he is now attempting to monetize it clumsily, using the only internet marketing tools he knows, it doesn't mean the invention itself is a hallucination.
Wow. It perfectly encapsulates the duality of the modern internet creator, doesn't it?
Completely.
You have to be a mad scientist tinkering in the basement and a slick, fast-talking car salesman on the showroom floor simultaneously.
That's a weird ecosystem.
He built the indefatigable board. He coded the recursive hierarchy so his agents could hire agents. He trained Juniper to cuss and fight for against the apathy of the police. And now he wants to sell you the blueprints for level 7.
It is incredibly messy.
It's full of contradictions, but it is undeniably aggressively fascinating.
It serves as a perfect microcosm of the current state of artificial intelligence. The most compelling use cases are not coming from the sterile corporate
They're
keynotes.
coming from the fringes.
They are powerful, they are deeply, uncomfortably personal, and they are being aggressively packaged and sold by individuals operating entirely outside the traditional tech establishment.
So as we pull back and wrap up this deep dive into the wild cyberpunk reality of Garrett Moore's digital empire, we have to bring this all the way back around to you, the listener.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
We've traversed an incredible amount of conceptual ground. We started by unpacking the linguistic quirks of a 14-man indefatigable board, only to realize the hidden structural brilliance of a 50-plus recursive agent hierarchy.
A complex system where specialized AIs manage subordinate AIs to effortlessly execute 3.00 AM ideas without human bottlenecks.
We then explore the profound psychological and technical implications of voice DNA.
We examined how a user might bypass corporate guardrails to clone their own thoughts and essence, shifting the paradigm of AI from an external productivity tool to a mechanism for internal emotional preservation.
We analyze the porch incident in agonizing detail, witnessing Juniper step in when human institutions failed. We saw a masterclass in profane solidarity and practical bureaucratic navigation for a man who felt fundamentally dismembered by society.
And finally, we dissected the jarring transition into level 7 guru speak, debating whether a manipulative, jargon-heavy marketing funnel invalidates the genuine underlying technological innovation of the creator.
So what does this all mean?
It's the million-dollar question.
It means that while Garrett's pitch might be dripping with wild jargon and kingdom matrix funnels, the core desire driving his entire ecosystem is something deeply universally human.
We all want to be understood.
Right. He wants a world, or at least a localized digital ecosystem that doesn't just work for him, but deeply understands him and violently fights for his interests.
The desire for 50 specialized agents isn't just a productivity hack to get more work done.
No, it is the architectural blueprint for building an entire alternate reality where you are perfectly understood, constantly validated, and never ever dismissed by anyone again.
It represents the ultimate search for agency and control in a complex bureaucratic world that frequently makes individuals feel entirely powerless.
Exactly. And that leaves us with one final, lingering thought to explore on your own time.
A provocative one, too.
We spent a lot of time debating how comforting it would be to have an AI that perfectly mirrors your essence and stands unconditionally in your corner. But I want you to think about the logical, societal conclusion of that technology.
Where does it all end up?
If Garrett's vision of perfectly cloned voice DNA becomes the standard, if the technology becomes cheap and ubiquitous, and we all eventually surround ourselves with a 50-agent board of AI that perfectly reflects our own biases, validates our every single frustration, and aggressively cusses at our enemies, will we ever need to interact with a human being who disagrees with us again?
Are we building the ultimate hyper-personalized tool for digital connection, or are we simply constructing perfect, impenetrable digital islands of one?
Something to think about the next time you ask your AI for advice.